Hello, good evening, and welcome to today's live stream. Today we are going to be doing a Q&A, and I'm going to be answering some of the questions that I have been asked by a lot of videographers. So just let me know if sound is okay, and where you are watching me from. And if you have any questions today, just let me know. Otherwise, today we're having a really good topic to discuss. So let me know where you are watching. I can see Mr. MJ. He has joined. He says, "Evening, my mentor," is watching. Fidel is also watching from Lusaka. Thank you so much for joining, Fidel. And let me know where you are watching me from. YouTube, we are live. TikTok, we are live. Let's join so that we can get started. I have like a few questions that a lot of students, they usually ask me today. I want to answer those questions. And if you have questions as well, you can ask so that I can answer. So yeah, I'm just here to help where I can. Today people, they are late to join. Today people are late to join. Let's join the stream. Let's share the stream wherever you are watching me from. If you are in YouTube, let's share the stream. If you are on TikTok, let's share the stream. Today, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any questions in videography, let me know. Otherwise, I have like 13 questions. I went through all my live streams. I went through all my YouTube videos, my TikTok videos, and I made a compilation of almost like 13 most asked questions, and then I'm gonna answer all those questions, because sometimes when people, they are commenting, sometimes maybe I'm not around. So let me know where you are watching me from. Let me know, and let's share the stream. I can see Mr. Damian is watching all the way from Livingstone, Zambia. Thank you so much. Let's share the stream. Let's share the stream. Let's share the stream. I'm here, and we are going to be answering some of the most frequently asked questions. That's what we're going to be doing. So if you are watching on YouTube, you are watching on Facebook, you are watching on TikTok, and you have any question, just let me know, and also help me to share the live stream. And also help me to share the live stream. So I'm also checking YouTube. I can see Mr. JZ Vlog is watching. I can see Chris DC is watching. I can see Falcon B is also watching. These are watching from YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. If there's a way that you can share the stream, guys, help me to share the stream so that we can have a lot of people joining. I'm just waiting for 2 more minutes. For 2 more minutes, then we can start the live. So let's share the stream. Let's share the stream. And if you have any questions, let me know. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, it's amazing. I'm just looking at some of the stuff here. It's amazing. It's amazing to be live. We are talking about some questions that people ask. So there's a lot of questions. Others has to do with cameras. Others has to do with color grading. Others has to do with business. So there's a lot. There's a lot. So if you have any questions, though, just let me know as well. Let me know as well. Otherwise, it's a lovely good evening. Let me know where you are watching the stream as well. Let me know where you are watching the stream as well. I am busy sharing my stream now. So as we are waiting for people, let me know. And also just tell me what is the most, if you are into videography already, let me know what is the biggest challenge you have now in videography. And if maybe you are about to start in videography, what is stopping you? Let's talk as we are waiting for these people to join. In the next 2 minutes, I'm going to be starting. In the next 2 minutes, I'm going to be starting. Thank you so much for those who are sharing the stream. Thank you so much for those who are sharing the stream. It's amazing. It's amazing. Let's share the stream. I can see Mamelodi. Oh, MJ is watching from Mamelodi. Thank you, Mr. MJ. Let's share the stream. Let's share the stream today. It's a Q&A, sort of a live stream. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Let's help each other. And you know, there are always filmmakers who are watching these lives. So it's not like it's only me. So if you have a very tough questions, me and the rest of other filmmakers who are watching this live will be answering those questions. All right, so let's just share the stream so that at least we can have more people to join us. Otherwise, it's amazing to be live. It's amazing to be live. I'm busy sharing now. All right, I am done on my side. I'm hoping that you are also sharing on your side. Let's share the stream. I can see some questions have already started coming from TikTok, from YouTube. Let's check what is going on YouTube. You can see also we have got some questions also on YouTube coming in. I'm gonna start answering all these questions just right now, in just a moment. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. That's what we're gonna be doing today. Watching you from Zambia, Lusaka. How do you upload good quality videos to Facebook without losing quality? All right, so we're gonna be diving into those questions. All right, thank you so much for everybody who is joining, and for those who are generous enough to share the stream. It's amazing. So we are going to start the stream now, and we are going to be discussing, I'll be answering some of those questions that you have been asking. You know, to be a videographer is not easy. It's not easy. It's not the easiest thing, actually. So most people actually kind of like fail. I can see Mr. Phineas Sambo is watching. Mr. Phineas, thank you so much for joining. Watching from Rustenburg, Ace Weed is watching, and Cabello is also watching from Ghana. Cabellaro is watching from Ghana, and Moncho. Daniel is also watching from Tanzania, from Botswana. Thank you so much. All right, so I have a couple of questions here that I'm going to be answering, as well as some of the questions that you guys are asking wherever you are. Wherever you are. So the first question is this. No, this is not even like the first question. This is the second question, but I'm going to just start with it. Hey, which lens is the best for the Lumix GH4 and the one that is cheapest? So this man is asking, this filmmaker is asking, which lens is the best for the Lumix GH4 and the cheapest? So when it comes to lenses, when it comes to cameras and lenses, I think the most important part of a camera is actually the lens. You know, you can have a very poor camera, but if you have a good lens, you are sure to take good images. But if you have like a really good camera, like very expensive good camera, but the lens that you put there is poor, you're going to make bad videos. So for me, when it comes to lenses and cameras, I value lenses more. All right, so that is why it is important that when you are purchasing your camera, whatever camera that you are purchasing for your videography, you also need to consider the lens choices that are available. All right, so whenever I'm purchasing a camera, I also look at the lenses that are available for that camera. So for the Lumix GH5, the cheapest one that I can recommend, the cheapest all-round, for the Lumix GH4, the cheapest one that I can recommend is the native lens, 12 to 60 millimeter f2.8. I think it has got a good range. It's wide at 12 millimeter, and also it's more like a telephoto. As you know that the Lumix GH4 is a micro four third camera, so any lens that you put to that camera becomes ×2. So a 12 to 60 millimeter is more like a 24 to 120 millimeter, which is a really good range. And I think it is cheap. You can get that lens right now for around 5,000, 6,000 rands. All right. So that is question number one. Let's see question number two. What are the best beginner equipment for videography? All right, so this one was asking what are the best beginner equipment for videography. The first thing is when you are considering to buy equipment for videography, you need to consider, you need to keep in mind what you are really planning to film. Right. So if you are getting in videography, if today I was getting into videography and I'm looking for the best beginner equipment, with the knowledge that I know, I was going to look for a camera like the Lumix GH4. Number one is because it shoots really beautiful 4K, DCI even, 4K is in two types. There's Ultra HD, which is like 3840 by 2160, and then there's 4K DCI one, the 4096 by 2160. So I love the Lumix GH4 because it can shoot at in 4K at 30 frames per second, DCI even, and then it can shoot 96 frames per second in full HD. So I think the other limitation is because it just really have like a small sensor, which is not really like a problem. A sensor doesn't really make a huge difference in videography, it's just how you use it. So if you are starting out today, I would go for that camera because number one, it is very strong, the battery life is good, the picture quality is crispy and clear, and also it doesn't overheat, it can record videos unlimited. So that's a best camera I would get. And then from the Lumix GH4, it doesn't have in-body image stabilization, so I'll get something like a gimbal, Nowadays, you can really get gimbals at a cheaper price. And also, even the Lumix GH4, they are very cheap nowadays, very cheap. In fact, I have a Lumix GH4 that I'm selling right now for 10,000. And it comes with a lens, so you just get the camera and begin to shoot. So it doesn't really have like in-body image stabilization. You obviously have to get a stabilizer. All right, so I'll get something like the Ronin SC. It's very cheap nowadays. You can get those Ronins for like 7,000, 6,000 rands. And then the other thing that you need as a beginner, at least some form of lighting. Videos, it's lighting. For a video to really look good, you have to you need to master a little bit lighting as well. So I'll get some, some of those Godox, like the ones that I'm using here, the 300 watts. They are not expensive. Both of them, I bought them 3,000 each. All right. And then what else? Maybe I'll get a tripod as well as a microphone, maybe like the one that I'm using right now. I think those are the best beginner equipment that I would get. So in overall, for around 25,000 rands, right? You guys, you can you can convert in your currencies. So I'm using rands. Just go to Google and type rands against your currency, then you can convert. So for around 25,000, you can get a camera, you can get some lights, you can get a microphone, you can get even a gimbal for around 25,000, and you are really good to start shooting serious compelling videos. I shot MT's video on the Lumix GH4 because that is the camera I was starting with. And then I shot other program. There was a program on Soweto TV, a full, almost like a reality show that I shot on the Lumix GH4. I had like 6 of them, so I was shooting this sort of like a reality music show, and it was showing on, on Soweto TV at some point. So it's not really like it's a beginner camera, it's a professional camera. What matters is the skill behind that camera. All right. The next question, question number 3. What are the best settings for my camera, and what is the best camera brand? All right. First of all, there isn't anything like the best settings. I actually get this question a lot from upcoming videographers. They'll buy a camera and say, what are the best settings for my camera? There isn't anything like that. There isn't anything like the best settings, because it's like I always compare a camera to a car. So you cannot ask a person to say, what is the best speed to drive at? There isn't anything like the best speed, because sometimes you can hit the traffic, then you reduce the speed. Sometimes the highway is open, then you can increase the speed. That's what happens also when it comes to camera settings. Sometimes you can be filming here, I'm using daylight, but after this room, if I go to another room, maybe it is using some of those, fluorescent lighting. So I have to change the settings again. So camera settings change from time to time. You just have to understand them. You just have to understand the most important camera settings. And if that is what you really was asking about, the most important camera settings that you need to understand is number one, the exposure settings, the ISO, the aperture, and the shutter speed. And also the side effects. When you increase the ISO, the image becomes brighter, but it introduces noise. So you need to shoot at a native base ISO of your camera. A native base ISO, each and every camera has got a native base ISO, which is the highest ISO your camera can shoot without introducing noise. And that information, you can just Google. If you're using a Sony a7S Mark III, just Google and say, what is the native base ISO for Sony a7S III? All right, so each and every camera, it will always have the base ISO, which will prevent a lot of, noise. And then those are the settings that you need to understand. And then aperture. Aperture, the lower the aperture, the brighter the image is going to be, and also the more motion blur is going to be introduced in your footage, right? So there will be a lot of motion blur if you lower the aperture. So the rule is you have to shoot at twice the frame rate. So if you are shooting at 24 frames per second, then you have to set your aperture at 48 frames per second or 50 frames per second. Those are the stuff that I teach in my class. So if you get my class at DSLR Cinematic Filmmaking, I have explained all these things like in details and showing you examples. All right, and then the other one, the shutter speed, the higher the shutter speed, the more darker your image is going to be, and also the more sharper it's going to be. So you're gonna lose some sort of motion blur in your video. So make sure when you are filming, you need to the shutter speed is the one that you need to set at twice the frame rate, sorry. So if you are filming at 25 frames per second, you need to set your shutter speed at 50 frames per at 1/50th of a second, so that you get that natural motion blur. All right. So you have to understand what is frame rate. You have to understand some codecs. You have to understand some, picture styles. You have to understand white balance. So those are the camera settings that you just need to understand, because these cameras, they change because they can be used. It is a case-by-case scenario. If I shoot in the open, in the daylight, I have to change almost all the settings. I have to change the white balance. I have to change the ISO. I have to change maybe even the shutter speed, you see. So there isn't really like the best settings. All right, let's go to question number 4. How do I get your LUTs? Oh, okay. So I have a course, Color Grading Pro, where I teach everything that has to do with color grading. And in that course, I usually send some of these videos on my YouTube channel. So I think this question came from YouTube, where someone was asking, how do I get your LUTs? Maybe they watched one of those videos, and now they are asking, where do you get the LUTs? Because I don't post the LUTs there. So in that course, Color Grading Pro, I have like over 3,000 professional LUTs. Some of these LUTs, I bought them maybe over 20,000, like when I was starting, I was into really making my videos look cinematic, and I was not really good at color grading. So using LUTs helped me when I was starting, because they could instantly make my colors look nice. So after using some LUTs, maybe that was 2015, 2016, 2017, I have just been collecting LUTs. So in 2022, when I launched my course, all the LUTs that I bought, I also uploaded them. So whoever buys my color grading course will get all those 3,000 professional LUTs for free as well. So that is where you can get them. All right, let's look at another question. Between the skills and gear, which one should I invest in first? This is a clever question. This is a clever question. Between the skills and gear, which one should I invest in first? All right, so if you have a skill but you don't have gear, there's nothing that you're going to do. And also, if you have gear but you don't have the skill, there's still nothing that you're going to do. So which one comes first? In my opinion, okay, based on where I'm coming from myself and based on how I started, I'll give favor to the skill, right? You need to learn some skills first before you even invest in gear, because the advantage is once you understand camera settings, which angles to use and stuff like that, it will be very easier for you to even get the right equipment. So when I started with learning videography first, not because equipment was not important. There wasn't just equipment at that time. There was no way I could get equipment. So I started by learning videography through using phones, through using some of those old cameras, So you can actually really learn a lot about videography even before having a camera, because some of the other stuff that you learn in videography is not really dependent on the camera. Coming up with a story doesn't need a camera. Coming up with a video treatment or coming up with a script, it doesn't need a camera. There's so many stuff. There's so many stuff that makes a video look nice. The camera is just one piece that comes at the very end. So you need to come up with a story. You need to come up with the people that are going to be involved in that story. You need to come up with wardrobe, makeup. You need to come up with the locations where you are going to shoot that video. You need to come up with, So after everything has been figured out, that's when you decide which camera am I going to use. So for me, if it has to be skews against gear, and if you have 10,000 right now, and you want to buy a camera or invest in videography knowledge, I would buy a good phone that can shoot in HD, which I believe you already have, and then invest the rest in the skills. Once you are really good in videography, you can get by just using any other camera. I have seen people creating amazing video using very cheap cameras because they are skilled. But now you feel like for you to create good videos, you need that Sony FX6, you need that Sony, you need Canon 5D Mark IV, because your skills aren't really there. For me, even if you gave me a Lumix GH2 now, and they gave a beginner who doesn't really have good skills the Red Cinema camera, I'll still beat them, because there is so much that is involved in video making than just really having a good camera. There's camera angles, there's camera composition itself, there's a lot. So I would give an edge to the skill. All right, the next question. Can you please help me to understand what frame rate I should shoot on and why? Can you help me understand what frame rate I should shoot on and why? All right, so frame rate, when you are watching a video, it is not because it's not really like a video that you are watching. You are just really watching pictures. Cameras capture pictures and package those pictures in seconds. So there can be 24 pictures in 1 second. That is what those pictures in videography, they're called frames. So when you hear frame rate, it means the number of pictures in 1 second. So if you hear 24 frames per second, 25 frames per second, we are talking about 25 pictures in 1 second. That's why the video is created. That's why you see a video as those pictures as motion. So this video that you are watching now, these are just pictures that are being played at a faster, Now I'm live streaming in 30 frames per second. So these are 30 pictures per second. So they are creating a sort of like a motion. So which one should you choose to film in? This one depends exactly where you are in the world. Americans have got their own frame rate, their standard frame rates. Africa also has got its own standard frame rates. It's crazy. But the generality of it is, if I was starting today and I'm wondering which frame rate, which camera should I get, based on frame rate, I'll get a camera that can shoot at 24 frames per second, because this is the frame rate that you shoot for talking heads, for interviews, for actions that are happening at a normal speed. So if the artist is singing, you can set your camera at 24 frames per second or 25 frames per second. Because some companies, maybe you are creating content for TV, the frame rate that we're using here is POW, which is 25 frames per second, But in America, they are using NTSC, which is like 23.9, 23.976 frames per second or 29.976 frames per second. All right, so here in Africa, if you're an African filmmaker, the frame rate that I would recommend you to film in is at 24 frames per second or 25 frames per second if you are doing something that is happening at a normal speed. But if it's a music video, for example, and you really want some cool shots, you know, some cool slow motion shots, then you also need to film at 50 or 60 frames per second or higher, because those are the frame rate that will create smooth slow motion. So if you shoot at 24 frames per second and make that video play in slow motion at 50%, it means you are going to be dividing that 24 frames per second in half. So it means you have a video that has 12 frames per second. So make sure if you are going to be filming some things that are in slow motion most of the time, you should film at 50 or 60 frames per second or higher. And then if you are filming normal things that are happening at a normal speed, you can film at 24 or 25 frames per second, depending on where you want to play that video. So for me, if I want my videos to look a little bit cinematic, I'm posting these videos to some company that they see my work and stuff like that, and that company is in America. I usually shoot at 24 frames per second. In fact, most of the time when I'm filming like a wedding, during speeches, or when I'm filming interviews, I'm filming at 24 frames per second. But if I'm filming something for TV around Africa, I shoot at 25 frames per second, because that is the frame rate in which they broadcast most of the television around here in Africa. And then if I want to film something for YouTube or for, you know, for Facebook, like this video right now, I'm filming at 30 frames per second. The difference is at 24 frames per second, there's a certain motion blur that you know, like the natural, almost like the natural motion blur. If you wave your hand in front of your eyes, you see that there's some level of natural motion blur. So at 24 frames per second, that is where that natural motion blur is believed to be, right? So you are creating a video and you want it to look as realistic as the way you would see things in real life. So you shoot at 24 frames per second. But at 30 frames per second, your video becomes really sharp. You know, there isn't really like motion blur. That's why I film everything that I'm posting on YouTube and on Facebook, even live streaming. Right now, I'm live streaming at 29.976 frames per second, because I want the video to look a little bit sharper. And one of the person was asking me to say, how do you make your videos? How do you make your videos look clean when you are posting? Number one is to know which frame rate to shoot. And number two is on the bit rate. You know, when you are exporting your video, there's what we call the bit rate of that video. So the bit rate of a video is the amount of data being transferred per second. So when your video is playing, there's data that is being transferred. So the amount of that data that is being transferred per second is what we call bit rate. So the higher the bit rate, the more quality your video is going to be, but the larger the file size. And then the lower the bit rate, the less quality your video is going to be, and also the smaller the size. So if I'm exporting a video for, let's say, Facebook, you know, the first thing that you need to do is you need to know what are the recommended Facebook settings for posting videos there. So if you go to Facebook website or you type now Facebook recommended settings, you'll see all the recommended settings when you are posting a video to Facebook. So the sweet spot, anytime I'm posting something to Facebook, I always export it in half HD, 1280 by 720, and the bitrate that I use 5 megabits per second. So the file becomes very small, but it's still having good quality, because the people who are going to watch my videos on Facebook or on whichever social media, mostly they're going to be watching the videos on their smartphones, you know. So I don't really have to make the videos in 4K so that, oh, maybe this is when they're going to see higher quality. No, whether it is 4K or HD on the phone is going to look almost the same. And the other problem is when you are posting in 4K or with a higher bitrate, because you want the video to be clear, the Facebook has got its own compression. So when you post a video there, the Facebook will compress it to change it from the settings that you have put to the settings that favor that platform. So in the compression, those compressions are so aggressive, like they make the videos look super low quality. So the best is to post the video already compressed by yourself. That is the trick that I use whenever I'm posting videos to social media in order for them to look really good. All right, let's go through some of your questions before I continue with these questions. So frame rate, 24 for normal speed, for 24 frames per second for normal speed, and also for slow motion, 50 frames per second. Okay, let's see if we have questions here. Where can we get Adobe Premiere Pro for free? You can get Adobe Premiere Pro. There's a website called igetitintopc.com. So let me see if I can pull it here so that you guys can see. All right, so if you go on your computer, let's see, I get it into pc.com. My internet is a little bit slow. It's a little bit slow. I don't know why. I get it into pc.com. Enter. My internet is a little bit very slow, but this website, it will enable you to get any software for free. Any Windows software, you can get it there for free. All right, so that is where you can get Adobe Premiere Pro for free. And all the softwares, they come cracked already, so you don't have to struggle. All right, let's go. When color grade my video footage, mostly I get color noise. How can I fix that? All right, so when you are doing color grading, there is a plugin that I use. If you are part of the people who got my courses, especially Adobe Premiere Pro and color grading, there's a plugin there called, I use that plugin a lot. So after I have done my color grading, sometimes maybe I shot at the picture was looking a little bit dark, then during color grading, I had to make it a little bit brighter, and then there is some noise that has come. There's a software called, it's a denoise software. It is called, let me just check it here. Let me just check it in my computer. Come on, like, how do I forget the name of that software? Neat Video, actually. It's called Neat Video, right? It's a paid software, but you can get it for free on one of my classes, especially if you are getting Adobe Premiere Pro, video editing course, and color grading course. You can get that software for free, but it's called Neat Video. After you have edited, color graded, you can put an adjustment layer and then apply Neat Video. Your video will become very clean again. Okay. I loved the first course in your school. You covered this very well. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean that. In my course, all this stuff that I'm talking about, they are detailed. Whatever that I'm talking right now, in the course, they are very detailed. Thank you so much. Too much for beginner. Which camera is that? Who is this one? Okay, I can see Songi here is also asking, do you have some specific sites where good second-hand cameras and other gears can be found? Yes, especially if you are living in the local, just check in your country if there is something that is called Facebook Market. There's individuals who sell their stuff there. Sometimes you can really get cheap stuff, you know, on Facebook Market. And then there's also sites like eBay. On eBay, that's where I bought all my first cameras. Okay, so those are the sites that you can get cheaper and good second-hand cameras, but there's also a lot of scammers on these sites. So mostly whenever I want to buy something, it's either I buy from somebody that I know, or I buy from eBay, because eBay and especially Amazon, you can go there and type the camera that you want. Let's say, for example, Lumix GH4, then you can look at their second hand. They also sell good second hand. And then around South Africa as well, there is a site called Camera World. You can get good second hand cameras there. And also there's another shop in Johannesburg that is called SA Cameraland. They also sell good cameras, but they will be a little bit expensive. Cheap but expensive. I don't know how to but the people who sell on Facebook, they will be the cheapest, because those you can negotiate with them. But the ones that are selling in the shops, once they say this Lumix GH4 is 12,000, there is always very little to to negotiate. Those are the sites you can get free cameras. All right, let's hear from Facebook. How much are the courses? The courses have got different prices. Let me see if the internet is back. Let me see if internet is back. Yeah. All right, so the courses, they've got different prices. So here are the courses. The internet is back, thank God. All right. So these are the courses here. Currently, all these courses are here. The one for filmmaking, the one for editing, the one for color grading, the one for music videos, for wedding videos, and also the business side of videography. Then we have the live streaming. This course is detailed. Then you can have this premium access where you can get all the courses at once, and it's costing $100, $110. The rest, if you go to ufc.unify inventive, you'll see all the prices are there. I'm telling you, these courses, don't even underestimate them. If you really want to have a hang of filmmaking and videography, I have taken my time to explain everything in details. Everything from how a camera works, the most important things you need to consider when you are buying a camera, or the most important camera settings. And I do it practically. I'm not just teaching like the way you are seeing me here. In the course, I have a camera and show you specific settings that you need to set, how I set up my cameras, what camera angles to use, what camera movements to use, how to do great compositions, and some of the stuff you need to be aware, different types of camera movements, lighting, how to set up artificial lighting and also natural lighting, how to record clean sound. Then it's detailed. So that is where you can get that. All right. So the courses are there. The cheapest course is $40. Okay, let's see on Facebook. Yeah, Elijah, it says also you can use Handbrake software to compress the videos. That's good. Yeah, you can also use Handbrake to compress your videos, but it is always good to follow the first one. When you are exporting your videos, you actually need to know to which platform are you intending to post that video. If you are posting it to Instagram, just go on the computer and type Instagram video recommended settings. They'll bring all the settings. Then you export your videos with those settings. Then your video will have no problem having good quality. How do you create stunning lower thirds for your live streaming without using vMix Title? You can create this with Photoshop. You can create this with After Effects. It depends. But After Effects and Photoshop, these are the two programs that I use whenever I'm creating lower thirds for my live streaming. And if you want to know more about that, I have covered it in my course, Live Streaming Pro. Live streaming, I have covered everything. How to live stream to Instagram, how to live stream to TikTok, how to live stream, all the important settings that you need to do in order for your live stream not to be affected. Ever since I come live, you have never seen a point whereby my internet is dropping and stuff like that. So even if I have the smallest internet, I still do some settings there, which I have spoken about in the course itself, live streaming. So all these things like green screen keying whenever you're doing live stream, adding titles, adding comments like this, all this kind of stuff, they are already there in my live streaming class. I'm currently recovering from my equipment. I was hijacked 2 weeks ago and they took everything. Don't keep you bank app in your phone that have much of your savings. Be safe out there, guys. Thank you. Yeah, last week I was talking about anytime. You know, I get bookings almost every day, and I know the world that we live in is a world of scammers. Especially people know that this guy's got the standard equipment, you know. So anytime an artist really approach me for videography, I always do due diligence. You know, I have a manager who actually checks that person whether they are really. If a person now asked me to shoot their first videos, their first music video, you know, and I go to their page and that is their first project, I'm not gonna take that project, no matter how desperate I am. Because you have to look at the history. Someone who has been in music industry or someone who has been into these things of videography, you tell by their page, you tell. So I always ask them, can you send me your social media handles, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, so that I can just see what they have been doing. So if I see, okay, this person has been doing this for a long time, then that is one of the factors that I can consider to shoot. And then I'll also consider things like people who know them. You know, I don't just wake up, because people, they can, you know, most of my friends were hijacked that way. All right, TikTok, we don't have any questions. Let's see Facebook. Today you are sounding low. I'm not sure, maybe increase your volume, Mr. Dumats. Increase your volume. In fact, today the volume is even more upper. All right. And most of the time you can see the camera is always up there. Today is actually really near to my mouth. I mean the microphone. Gear work. My big bros and Pedro. Okay. All right. So let's continue with these questions. Let's continue with these questions. So the next question is, which type of camera do you use mostly in your production and why? People can ask good questions, man. These are really good questions. So which type of camera do I use in my production, my everyday production, and why? So when it comes to cameras, I am very, very, very picky. It depends what project am I filming. So I have different types of cameras, from DSLR to cinema cameras to the Blackmagics. So it depends what kind of program I'm shooting. But all these cameras, I only change not because the other camera can do better. There isn't really like a better camera. There isn't even really like a better brand, all right? Whatever you get from the camera is just really how you use it. So I only change cameras because I'm trying to create a certain look, you know, like the certain look. There are certain cameras, like the Blackmagic has got a distinct look from the Red camera. It has got also its own look from Lumix GH5. It has got its own look from the Sony. It has got its own look, you know. Sony, they are very good at, they're best in low light. They are known for being the best in low light conditions. Canon cameras, they are known to have the best autofocus and also best skin color. Red cinema camera, it's a cinema camera. You know, it has got its own distinct look. So it depends. The camera that I use depends on the kind of project that I'm doing. So if I'm doing something like it's a social media content, like maybe it's an event, they want me to do reels or, you know, like short videos, I use the Lumix GH5. If I'm doing like a wedding video, I use sometimes even the Lumix GH4, because those are programs that will just end up going into a client's phone, a client's device. It's not really like be televised on TV and stuff. So I just really get a camera that can help me in terms of ergonomics, in terms of ease of use, in terms of having the settings that I would want. So for things like music videos, there are times where I'll use the Red cinema camera. There are times where I'll use the Blackmagic. There are times where I'll use the Lumix GH4. This all comes to the, remember in my music video course, Let me actually put my courses here so that you can see them. In my music video course, I have spoken about pre-communication that you need to have with the artist. Right. So the pre-communication, when you are talking with the artist in terms of how you want to make your videos come, you know, you also speak about the look, like the grading of the video. So you ask your artist to send you some of the videos that they like, and also you can even ask them to choose the color that they want for their video. You know, do they want a sort of like a blockbuster look? Do they want a natural look? Do they want a vintage look? Do they want, there are different types of looks. So you can learn about all those stuff in my color grading course. So once they give you a certain look, then for me, I'll choose a camera that can best give me that kind of a look. Not that other cameras won't, but I have a luxury to use any camera that I need. But you can still get by with just any other camera that you have if you can, you know, follow some of the tricks. You know, like I was using the Lumix GH5 for most of my work for 3 years, but I created different types of look. There is a plugin called Film Convert Nitro. That plugin, you can download it for free in my website, right? When you buy color grading and Adobe Premiere Pro, you can get all those plugins for free. That look can take your DSLR cinematic camera, the DSLR footage, and convert it into something that looks like a filmic. You know, you can adjust, you can add a level of noise there so that it looks like it was shot on a big budget camera. You know, in Zimbabwe, I won Best Videographer of the Year in 2022. I was the best videographer of the year in Zimbabwe, but I'm not even Zimbabwean. And guess what? There were videos there from Kofi Olomide and who is this guy? You know, there's big videos there which were shot. Another video was shot on the Red Cinema camera. Another video was shot on Blackmagic Pocket 6K. Really good cameras. But in that same award, my videos won Best Video of the Year, Best Music Video of the Year. I also won Best Videographer of the Year, and also another video of mine won Best Music Video of the Year. So for you guys who are from Zimbabwe, if you know a video by Freeman called Pombi, I'm the one who shot it on the Lumix GH5. If you know a video by Nox called Unovuma Here, I'm the one who shot it on the Lumix GH5. Those are two different colors that are coming from the same camera. So it doesn't really matter which camera you use, but for me, it really depends on what specific look that I want to get. All right, let's go through some questions again. Let's go through some questions. My TV is far. How can I chat with you privately? You can chat with me privately. Let me just put my number on the screen. That is my WhatsApp number. You can just take that number and text me. And when you text me, don't say hi, you know, because I get a lot of messages that people just say hi. So just be a little bit specific. Hi, my name is X. I was trying to, you know, get in touch with you for this reason, blah, 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 you know, so that I know exactly what you want, so that we don't waste time. You know, hi, how are you? I'm good. How is the day? You know. All right. So the next question: what video editing software should I use? There's a lot of video softwares that you can use. There's DaVinci Resolve that you can get for free. There's Adobe Premiere Pro that you can also get for free at, you know, I get it into pc.com website, but it's also a paid software. There's Filmora, there's Hitman, but the one that I would recommend is Adobe Premiere Pro. Why? It is because if you are on Mac computer, you are on Windows computer, you are on Linux computer, you can install it, right? And then DaVinci Resolve is a really good software as well. It's free, but I think it's a little bit hardware intensive. You know, like you need to have like a really good computer in order for you to work well in DaVinci Resolve without having a problem. Not really like a big expensive computer, but at least a computer that has got a dedicated graphics card of 2 GB, you know, a good RAM like 16 GB. But with Adobe Premiere Pro, you can actually get a lower version like Adobe 2017, you know, lower. It has got a very lower specs, even 8 GB RAM you can get by. All right. So that is the software situation. That is the software situation. So I recommend Adobe Premiere Pro because you can actually link Adobe Premiere Pro with other Adobe software suite like After Effects, Photoshop, because that's how I work. Sometimes I do some set extension. I have to add some video effects here and there. So I can be working on a clip in Adobe Premiere Pro. At the same time, that clip, I can be doing something in After Effects and it will update it. I can link them to work together. So that is the number one software, and it doesn't really like give a hassle. All right, my big bro, you have only talked about the bitrate for Facebook. Can you please tell us for TikTok and WhatsApp status? Yeah, so when I was speaking about bitrate, I said the first thing that you need to do, you know, you have, if it's WhatsApp, and I feel like every videographer should do this, you know, don't just get settings without really understanding why you are getting them. So if you are going to post videos on WhatsApp, go on Google and check recommended video quality for WhatsApp. If you are posting on TikTok, go on TikTok website. All that information is there for free. Recommended video settings for posting a video to WhatsApp, right? So when I was talking about bitrate, it was just to give you an idea of it can apply on every platform. It can apply on every platform. So if TikTok recommends like you use 8 megabits per second, you know, it is bitrate still. Also, Facebook, if it recommends something else, it is still bordered on bitrate. But what I wanted you to know is the higher the bitrate, the more aggressive your video is going to be compressed, because these softwares, they have to compress your video. So right from when you are exporting your video, you need to put those settings there already. And then number two is the aspect ratio. You know, on TikTok, it is 1080 by 1920. Mostly, that is the native way of posting videos on TikTok, like a portrait, in portrait mode. And then on Facebook, you can post videos that are in 16 by 9 aspect ratio, like the one that you are watching now. But you can also post a square video, even a 4 by 5, especially on Instagram. Mostly the aspect ratio is 4 by 5. This is just like the size of the video. All right, so you can find all these details on their websites. For me, when I started posting videos, and this question has been coming since 2017 because I was already posting like high quality videos. The trick was to just go there. There is bitrate. They'll tell you bitrate. This is the frame rate. This is the bitrate. This is the frame rate. This is the codec that you need to use. This is the, you know, all those information will be there. So I'll just use that same information. And if I told you now to say, at the moment, Facebook is recommended 8 megabits per second, maybe 2 weeks from now, they'll update their site, right? And then those settings will change. So it means what I've told you now becomes a lie. So it's always best, wherever you are posting your video, every time I'm shooting a video, I already know where this video is going to go. Whether it's going to TV, I'm going to put the right settings for TV. Whether it's going to go to YouTube and TV, I'm going to put the right settings for YouTube and TV. So that is so important. Tell me about iPhone settings for clear pictures and videos like the ones you post. All right, so mostly, sometimes I shoot my videos with my phone. I have S24 Ultra and S23 Ultra. So for other places where I cannot really go with a camera, or maybe it's just a vacation, I can shoot my videos using the phone. So with the phone, you need to download an app. There's many apps, especially for iPhones. There's an app called Filmic Pro. In DSLR, in Android phone, there's an app called DSLR app for the phone. So these apps will give you extra settings in terms, we are talking about a professional now, né? I'm talking about professionals like us who handle cameras. So if you want to see the same settings that are in your camera on your phone, download a DSLR app if you are on Android, or a Filmic Pro, and also there's another app, Blackmagic, if you are using an iPhone. So these apps will give you all the settings like the aperture, will give you settings like white balance, will give you settings. So like I said at the very beginning, If you are not used to these settings, if you don't know these settings, it will be better you just shoot with a native camera app, everything on auto, so the camera will just look at the scene and adjust it for you based on what it thinks you want. You know, so if you are shooting people, you know, cameras they will prioritize your skin, they will prioritize. If you are shooting someone inside the forest, it will understand, oh, there's a bush, it will add more green to the bush, it will make you vibrant and stuff like that. So if you are really new, you don't know camera settings, you can just take advantage of the auto that comes with your phone. But if you are a pro like myself and you really want the best out of your camera, you can download DSLR app or Filmic Pro or Blackmagic. It will give you, so when it comes to the best settings, there isn't anything like best settings number one, because settings change based on the scenario. It's a case-by-case scenario. But depending on what you are shooting, if you are shooting something for TikTok, I like to shoot all my videos on the phone in 4K. You know, all my phones can shoot in 8K. But I like to shoot in 4K so that I can have like a really good quality, because the camera sensor is very small. So I'm trying to really get the best that I can. So make sure you shoot at 4K. And depending on what you are filming, if you want to slow down some of the clips in post, you can shoot at 60 frames per second. My phone can shoot up to 240 frames per second, right? But 60 frames per second is the frame rate that I use mostly for my video, even cameras. I don't really shoot super duper slow motion as if I'm doing a commercial for, you know, for a restaurant. So 60 frames per second in slow motion, 24 frames per second or 25 frames per second in you know, at a normal speed. But if I'm posting something, if I'm gonna post this, whatever that I'm filming, I'm gonna post it on social media, I shoot mostly at 30 frames per second. Everything that I post on social media, 30 frames per second. Number one, it makes the video look more crispy, clear, because it doesn't really have like motion blur. You see, that is the difference. So you just really have to understand a bit about frame rate. All right, let's go to the next question. The software part I have already answered. The next question is, how do I learn the basic of videography? This is a good question. Okay. So how do I learn the basics of videography? This is a good question. So when you are starting videography, having a know-how, like having a little bit of knowledge, the rest of other stuff you learn as you go, you know. Some stuff you might know them, but they might not really work when it comes to, you know, in the field work. You can always be creative around certain things. But if you really want to, you know, learn the basics of videography, the best place to learn is YouTube. There is a lot of information on YouTube about videography. In fact, you can learn almost everything on YouTube. The only problem with YouTube is there are so many people teaching the same thing, so you might really get confused along the way. That is just like the small disadvantage. And then number two is, if you don't know what you are looking for, you wouldn't really know what to search. So that is number two disadvantage of YouTube. But if you have a hang of it, like the way I always share, if you want to learn exposure settings, at least now you know, oh, okay, so from the camera, I have to understand the exposure settings. So you actually know exactly what to search. But there are other stuff that only somebody who has been doing it can tell you to say, no, the other thing that you need to look at also, we are talking about storytelling, you know, or we are talking about camera angles. The most important camera angles when you are shooting music videos, look at these camera angles. So if you don't know what to search for on YouTube, you can spend the whole day and you find yourself learning very few or nothing. So the best place to learn the basics of videography is using online classes, you know, getting online courses. This is the best way you can learn videography. That is how I actually became better. I started learning everything by myself, you know, making errors here and there. But by the time I started buying online classes and stuff, my videography changed, because then I have somebody who can take, like the way I teach in my courses. I actually start from the very beginning. Even if someone has never held a camera before, that's where I start. You know, what is a camera? How does the camera work? What do you consider when you are getting a camera? From there, that's where I start, and things become professional as you go. By the time you end that course, you are already a professional, even if you are a beginner. So you have this chronological order of information, then you know which step from which step. And then after taking such kind of stuff, in my course, there's like practicals that you can do. In my courses, there's like practicals that you can do along the way. And I look at those things and also advise where you should improve and stuff like that. So it's more like a practical online classes where you can actually really learn everything in the chronological order, making sure that you don't miss anything. So if you are interested to, like start to learn videography like the proper way, you can check out all my courses. I have all these courses. The first course is wedding videography. We have color grading there. We have DSLR cinematic filmmaking. We have live streaming. We have music videos. We have video editing. We have business in videography. So currently I have 7 courses, very detailed courses, very detailed. I'm sure the people who are watching this video who have taken my course, they will testify. So that is how you can learn the basics of videography. So I teach everything to lighting. I teach everything. When you are editing, what cuts you are using. When color grading, you are using a fake monitor. You are not using a color grading monitor. Stuff like that. You take advantage of the Lumetri scopes. I've explained everything. You can even go to my YouTube and subscribe there and watch all the videos that I have been posting. Those are videos that are coming mostly from my courses. All right, so the best way that you can learn videography, the second best way is through online courses, and the third best way is through film schools. Though I don't really like film schools, number one is most people who teach videography at film schools are not videographers. So they're like really teachers who were taught how to teach film. Just because a teacher is he teach mathematics, it doesn't mean he's a mathematician. So there's a big difference between a mathematician teaching you maths and a maths teacher teaching you maths. You see, so that is just the biggest downside with filmmaking schools, number one. Number two, they take a lot of time. Like, you have to go there. Things that you can learn in my course, like for 1 hour at a school, maybe you can spend even 2 months learning the same things. Just giving you all this lot of explanations that doesn't really work in the field. I have a lot of people who come from film schools. So. And again, most film schools don't really even have like equipment where you can do, like really good practicals and stuff like that. So, but that is the third way, and it's expensive. And then the cheaper one is filmmaking classes, and the free one is YouTube. So those are the places where you can learn basic filmmaking. All right, let's go to the next question. How do I find clients as a videographer? Okay, let's check some people here. Please help me to change my MP4 to MOV in Canon M50. Talking about bitrate, please help. All right. So there are certain things that in your cameras you can't change because that is how a camera was manufactured. So I see a lot of videographers who ask me to say, can you please help me to set my camera so that it can shoot in flat? Not all cameras were designed to shoot in flat. Okay? Some cameras just really come with the standard. And then if you want to shoot in MOV, not all cameras can shoot in MOV. So you have to check with your manufacturer. Those are the stuff that I usually teach in my courses. The things that you need to consider before getting your camera. So by the time you are purchasing a camera, you already understand MOV, you already understand frame rate, you already know what kind of specs you need to get inside the camera that you are buying. So now, if you have bought that Canon M50, it already tells me that you bought it without knowing all this stuff, and that is really like the big mistake. And maybe those are just one of the big mistakes. As you continue using it, you discover that actually this camera, it is not the camera that you needed. That is the price you pay for buying equipment with minus really doing knowing some of this simple stuff. So I'm gonna check. I'm not sure. I used the Canon M50 once, you know, and I used the MP4. I'm sure it can only shoot up to MP4, but I'll check for you after the live, and I'll come to reply to your comment to see if there is MOV. The easiest way, you can just get my my course, DSLR Cinematic Filmmaking, where I go through different types of menus to show you what you need to set before you start shooting. All right, where can I see your courses? You can get my courses at ufc.unifyinventive.net. Let me just put the link on the screen. Let me just put the link on the screen. Okay, here is the link. Boom. So that is the website where you can get my courses, ufc.unifyinventive.net. UFC is means Unify Film Class, and Unify Inventive is the name of my company. So that is where all my courses are. All right. Thank you so much. Let's see. Do we have any questions? All right. Doom Arts has answered your question. That's a good part of attending these videos. He has been using the M50, so he says it shoots 4K video files are recorded as MOV. So you should just get into your menu settings and check on the format. All right. Okay, great. Let's go through some questions. I just have 3 questions here, then we are done with the questions for today. These are the questions that people have been asking me, that filmmakers have been asking me for a long time, but for some reason I didn't really have enough time to answer. How much should I charge for my videography services? I think this question I didn't answer it. How do I find clients as a videographer? There's many ways that you can find clients as a videographer. These are the stuff that I teach in my course, Videography Business, right? There's many ways, but the shortest way for you to get clients, number one, is you need to improve your skill. Your skill has to be above average. It shouldn't just look like a layman who was just holding the camera. So you need to learn some few stuff that makes your video look a little bit below, above average, so that you can be an option. A person shouldn't be like, the video that he shot, I can shoot also the same video with my phone. There's supposed to be this level of professionalism, like your angles, your compositions, your movements, your settings, and stuff like that. That is number one. So the first step is the skill. The second step, also consider investing in good equipment, you know. So don't really feel like, maybe when I take all my 10 grand and buy a camera, it's not going to come back. It's going to come back. There's a lot of money in videography. So that is just one thing that can help you to get clients. But if you cannot afford a camera, you can start by hiring, as long as you have a skill. And then the third thing is to create a compelling portfolio, you know, or a show reel. You know, a show reel is just a 1 to 2 minute videos of your production's absolute best work. So make sure you put clips in that portfolio that are selling. This stuff I teach them in my course, Videography Business. Like, I go into details, the whole 3 hours just talking about how you can do business in videography. All right. So make sure you have a serious, compelling portfolio. And then secondly, you need to look at also creating relationships in the industry, create relationship with artists, with the clients, create relationship with their fellow videographers. All right. From there, there's so many stuff that you can, market yourself to get clients. You can take advantage of the social media. You can do video marketing. I have explained what video marketing is. You can do content creation. This is how I actually get clients. Content marketing. So I just come here and teach. Whichever sees what I'm teaching here, they'll be like, that guy actually knows what he's doing. I think we can hire him for our project. So as a videographer, as a marketer, you can use content marketing also to market yourself in order to get clients. I have discussed a lot of stuff in that course, man. Like, you can actually, the other topic in that course is you have to learn where to find your clients. Don't just sit and wait for clients to come. You have to actually look for clients. That's why you have companies like Coca-Cola, companies like Pepsi, companies like Vodacom, companies like Airtel, MTN. Every single day you find their advert. They are looking for clients. What about you? What about you? Don't just sit home and look for and wait for clients. Go out there and look for clients. So there's cold reach. There's one method that I use, cold reach, where you go on social media and identify which clients are in your niche of videography. Maybe you are into music videos, then you look for musicians there and you reach to them via messages, or maybe they can leave their email there or their number. You take those numbers and contact them, send them an email. But also there's a way that you send that email. You don't just, hey, I'm a videographer, I would like to shoot your video. There's a way that you can do that I have explained, that you have to add a little bit of value. They should see a reason why they should work with you. So if you want to know about those kind of stuff in the course, detailed. And then there's one which we call crocodile method when looking for clients, knowing where clients are found. If you're into corporate videos, where do you find corporate clients? In corporate events. Go there and wait for them like a crocodile waits for animals to come and drink water. A crocodile just knows, oh, okay, this is the spot which the animals will come and drink water. So it goes and waits there. During lunch hour, it will know that animals will come, and then it will ambush them. So even yourself, you need to use that crocodile method. I have explained it and giving you different types of examples and how you should approach clients. So that is how you get clients. Let's go to the next question. What is the best camera for live streaming? When it comes to live streaming, any camera that has got a clean HDMI output and also having a dedicated microphone jack. A dedicated microphone jack is not really like a big problem as long as it has got a clean HDMI output, because with sound you can connect directly to your computer. The only problem when you connect your sound directly to the computer and you are live streaming with a camera, you might have lip syncing problem. That's why I always advise streamers, people who are into live streaming, to say, make sure you connect your sound straight to the main camera. So if you are doing church live streaming, the main camera connects sound from there, and make sure the camera is powered if you are doing long live stream. But if you are doing short live streaming like this one, I normally use cameras like the GH4, the GH5, the Lumix G7. They can do very well. DSLR cameras are really good because you can interchange lenses and stuff like that. These are the cameras that I use mostly. But when I'm doing live streaming, like maybe for the parliament or for a church, those are long program that can take sometimes 8 hours. So you need a camera that cannot overheat, camera that you can power the whole day, and a camera that can shoot for a longer time. So, but the basic requirement for a camera of live streaming, make sure if it is in 2024 that you are starting live streaming, it just needs to have a clean HDMI, meaning once you connect the HDMI to your capture card, you should be able to turn the menus. Right now, the Lumix GH5, I have turned off the menu so that you can just really have like this image that doesn't have battery information or battery level or, all such kind of stuff. All right, let's go to the last question for today, I think. How do I pay for your courses? I don't have PayPal. All right, so my courses, you can only pay with PayPal if you want it to be automatic. Like you just pay, then you can already start learning. But if you don't have PayPal, there's a lot of payment options. Let me show you some of those payment options. There's a lot of payment options. So these are all the payment options that you can use. So whichever side of the country you are, there's direct deposit. You can pay with PayPal. You can pay with Imukuru. You can pay with Mama Money. You can pay with Western Union. But if you are going to pay using this method, then using any of the method minus PayPal, then you have to contact me first. You have to WhatsApp me to say you want to pay via Western Union so that I can send you the details for paying. All right, I think I have answered the questions for today. Let me see if there are other questions on Facebook and YouTube. Let's see. Let's go to YouTube. Otherwise, I'm about to close, guys. If you have any questions, you can just let me know so that we can close today's broadcast, and I'll see you again on Monday. Okay, let's come to YouTube. Myself, let's see. Watching from Zambia, Lusaka, how do you upload? Okay, I answered this one. My name is Kudakwashe. I want to know which software do you use? For editing, I use Adobe Premiere Pro mostly, but there are times when I use DaVinci Resolve. Like right now, I'll be editing a movie from America. So that movie, I'm working with so many people. There's one person who is doing sound, he's in London. There's another person who is doing effects, he's in Denmark. And I'm the one who is just going to cut the movie. So all of us, we are working using DaVinci Resolve. So maybe if I have a group project, I use DaVinci Resolve or whichever software that they were using. But mostly for my personal project, most of the time, I don't really do hardcore projects. It's just music videos, you know, wedding videos, events videos, you know. So I just use Adobe Premiere Pro. All right, I can see Falcon B. Which camera can be recommended for one who works both in videography and photography, like multiple one? The camera that I can recommend mostly is Sony cameras, you know. Sony cameras, especially the Sony A7 II, right now it is very cheap, you know. It can do good videos as well as photography. This is the camera that I feel like it can do both, right? Because it is a photography camera which has got really good capabilities of videos. So if you can get a camera like the Sony A6400, 6500, those cameras are good for both pictures and videos. And then the next camera that I can recommend is Canon cameras, especially Canon cameras like the 90D, Canon 90D, Canon 5D Mark IV, especially. That camera, I even miss it, man. Like I used to shoot, especially if it's programs like weddings. Canon cameras are the best because weddings are natural events. You don't really need to color grade them. You want them to really have these perfect skin tones, and Canon cameras don't disappoint. But for cameras like the Lumix GH5, the Lumix, these are not really photo-first cameras. These are video-first cameras. So if you want to do both, it can also, you know, the Lumix GH5 or GH4 or, you know, like, also the Fuji X-T3, it's really good for both videos and pictures. That is the camera that I was using actually sometimes in 2019. You know, I was taking pictures for a local magazine. You know, it was not disappointing, man. Like the image was super, really good, clean. And also on videos, it has got this Fujifilm look. It's very beautiful. So those are the cameras that I can recommend for both pictures and videos. All right, Govid International, UNZA student. Thank you so much, Zambia. Thank you so much, Govid. Thank you so much. What DSLR cameras can you use for live streaming apart from Lumix? Any camera that has got a clean HDMI. So if you take my live streaming class, I have put even PDF of different types of cameras that are suitable for live streaming, starting with the cheapest one, the cheapest of the cheapest, to the most expensive one. So the one that I'm using now is kind of like a mid-range, but there are other cameras like the Canon Legria, those small camcorders, the Canon Legria HF506, very good at live streaming. You know, they have got a zoom lens, so you can even use it for church live streaming. Very small, but still good still having a good quality. So if you want to know different types of cameras that can do live streaming, the general rule, the universal rule, any camera that has got a clean HDMI, that doesn't show menu information when you are live, it will do the live streaming, no matter the brand, no matter the name, or no matter the size. As long as it has got a clean HDMI output, it will do live streaming. Okay, should I buy a camera that shoots in S-Log, or will shooting RAW change my editing? It doesn't really change your style of editing, but maybe it might just change your editing process, right? So if you are shooting in S-Log, that is pretty a flat picture style. And like, let's say maybe you are used to shooting standard, and now you get a camera that shoots in S-Log. So the way you are approaching standard footage will be different from the way you are approaching S-Log footage, right? So it doesn't really matter which picture profile you are using, as long as it doesn't really change how you edit. It just change the editing flow, you know, because now you have to accommodate a certain picture style that you need to first convert into standard. Then from standard, that's when you color grade it. But the one that was in standard, you used to just start by color correcting and white balancing, then color grading. So it's just the editing flow that will change. Okay. Promo Go says, where are you located? I want to come for training. So we are having a face-to-face videography workshop that is coming on the 19th of May. It was supposed to happen. It was supposed to happen here in April, but there was a short period of people. There was a short period, like we advertised it only for a month. So people started applying for visas. The people that were supposed to attend were applying for visas, and most of them, the visas will not come out to attend. So we pushed the workshop to the 19th of May so that they can have the whole month to prepare everything and attend the workshop. So we have physical workshop that is happening in Sandton, South Africa from the 19th of May. The whole 1 week, food, equipment, and all the learning materials, you know, everything will be provided. All you need is for you to find yourself at the venue that will be sent to you when you pay. It is $445 to attend that workshop, because we provide accommodation, food, equipment, everything. You just come with your computer, that's all. All right, so if you want to come for physical training, you can take advantage of that workshop. I usually do such workshops on demand, because remember I have online classes, so you can learn online everything. But then if you are this person who maybe you're staying in a place where there isn't really enough network, maybe you don't have like a good computer where you can watch the courses, or a good phone where you can watch the courses, you feel like maybe attending physically it will be the best. I had those requests, so I'm only taking 10 people, by the way. I'm not taking a whole lot of people, because I want us to have this close and intimate learning relationship where I have focus for everybody. All right, so take advantage of that. Uncle Luco says, following you from Zambia. Thank you so much, Uncle Luco. My camera tends to take on the color of the tent or wall or whatever clothes. For example, the theme of the wedding is pink and everyone is wearing pink. The camera will show pink on their faces. Please help. All right, so the first thing that you do as a videographer, when you get your camera, take it out from automatic mode. You are getting all those weird colors because it is set in auto. So make sure you use your camera manually. Everything should be done manually. Your white balance should be set manually. So why you are getting all those weird colors, it's because your camera is adjusting colors for you. So you are the one who's supposed to adjust colors. So white balance is actually really setting your camera to match the light source that is in the environment where you are filming. You know, that is white balance. So make sure you learn how to use white balance, and you can take advantage of my course, DSLR Cinematic Filmmaking. I go in details on such. This man is a skilled teacher. I like him. Top News Media. Thank you, Mr. Top Media. Thank you so much, Top News. Thank you very much. I'm not teaching now. Now we are just talking. You should just get my courses. That's when you will know. This guy can teach you the things that you can learn the whole 1 year in university just in 1 week. Because I'm not just a teacher, I'm a filmmaker, so when I'm telling you this stuff, it's things that I know. It's things that I meet every single day. Anytime that I come live, I'm coming from a shoot. So it's not like I'm a videography teacher. I'm a filmmaker. But I also just teach a few things that I know it has been missing, especially on the videographers. All right. I think that is YouTube. I've answered all the questions in YouTube. So let me check Facebook if we still have hanging questions here. I've answered all the questions on Facebook. Let's check TikTok. Would you recommend A7 III for video or A7 III for video? 100%, very good camera. I have used it to shoot that camera a lot of events. It's a very good camera. My only downside about it is it was not shooting in 10-bit. 10-bit, especially, which helps on color grading. So when you are color grading A7 Mark III, Sony A7 III, it is very difficult because it shoots in 8-bit. 8-bit doesn't really have a lot of color information. It has about 16 million colors, which is a lot. So it was forcing me mostly to shoot in a standard picture profile so that I can have most colors already baked inside the image. So when I do color grading, I don't have to start it from the top. So if you are shooting on an 8-bit camera and you are shooting flat, you know, it will be very difficult for you to recover all the color information in that flat picture style. You start really having false colors, you know, these weird colors. You have this banding because it doesn't really have a lot of color information. If you want to really understand about picture profiles, 8-bit and 10-bit, you should just really get my course because I go through there and show you examples. So with 10-bit, the reason why I have been loving the Lumix GH5 is it has got about 1 billion colors. So it is really good to stretch colors. Even if I shoot in Vlog L, very flat picture style, there's I can recover all those colors and really do a good color grading. All right. How long have you been doing photography? I have been in the industry for the past 16 years now, right? I started in 2006 when I was just really like very young because my father had received a gift of a camera from some of these missionaries. He was working for these missionaries. So one of the missionaries gave him those Handycam cameras. And then I started filming with that Handycam camera since 2006, filming what you call these funerals in our local areas, you know, editing videos using those VCR. You know, we had like how many VCR? 1, 2, 3. We had like 3 VCR, and then the 4th one is the one that is recording. So the way we were editing, not on a computer, we were editing using those VCR. You put tape 1, tape 2, tape 3. You play tape 1 at some point. You stop, you pause, then you go to tape 2, you play it to some point, you pause, then you go to tape 1. It was a crazy way of editing. Then you have this main VCR, which is recording everything. So on the recorder, you pause, then you play tape 2. When you reach at a point, then you start recording. It was crazy. So that is how I was editing maybe for the next 2 years, but that was just really like editing work for, you know, home use, not going out. And then after that, I got like this name in my community that okay, there's Pedro's father has got a video camera and stuff like that. So by using that camera, I also became popular in the I was a local champion, you know. So most people used to come for videography. Then I decided, why can't I expand this? Why can't I expand this? I think there's a potential to make money. By the way, they even offered me, you know, I was intelligent in school, you know, I became by the time writing matric, I was #1 on my school, you know. So I was very intelligent in school, and I was waiting to go to college. So the 1 year that I was waiting to go to college, that is when I was really like so focused on this videography, and I saw that, you know what, going to college and do whatever that I wanted to do, mechanical engineering, maybe it might just be a waste of time. If I can just find a way of making this videography thing work, I think it can work for me. Because the main worry was, will I be able to make money in this thing? That was the main worry. By that time, I was seeing my friend were teachers, were, you know, and it was not working. So like the first 6 years in my videography, it was not working. Like there wasn't really anything. I was making money, but my work was not really going far. You know, it was just around the same area. And then if we add again, maybe 2 years, 3 years, I started working in the church because I didn't have equipment. So I had to get a job in the church. And I was in that church for 3 years just doing church work. And I was using their computer to learn. I was using the church camera to learn, but I wasn't really learning a lot about the industry. So from that church, 3 years, I later joined another church for, you know, Bushiri here in South Africa. And I was there for like 3 years again. So the last, almost like the 11 years of my career wasn't really like happening much, So by the time I was like 3 years again in the church in South Africa, I was like, if I continue working in church, it doesn't really give me a lot of stuff that I want to do. So I started doing things by myself, started raising money for the cameras, started raising money for so many other stuff. And then I started these things professionally. So professionally, where I actually really started working with big celebrities, big brand, big companies, I can say 6, 7 years ago. But I've been in the industry for 16 years. All right, let's see. George